Disappointment coming out of the Duke game would be the biggest understatement ever for me. And so we had a very heartfelt, transparent meeting as a team, as a staff after that loss. And to me, winning or losing matters, but what matters a lot to me is how hard we play and how hard we fight and how tough we are and how dedicated we are to the team that you chose to be on, that you chose to coach. And so I thought this week was a great response. And our identity at this school is about playing hard, playing tough, and playing together. And I'm proud of the guys, the way they did that for 4 quarters. They put it on tape, and we played clean, on top of it. And just +2 turnover margin, 0 pre-snap penalties on offense or defense. Defensively, gave up 0 explosive plays for scores. Kids battled and fought and believed, and they showed grit. And we're learning and we're growing, and there's a lot to work on, a lot we need to get better at. But it was great improvement and meaningful. On offense, I thought, obviously KC is a huge spark, very explosive player. It's impressive to me. I can't say enough about how he's able to do so much as a freshman, to play in the slot. And this offense is a lot. There's a lot goes on in there. And Robert's offense as a slot receiver, but then to be able to get into the backfield and run the football, to be able to go outside and play the way he did. I thought, overall, we played hard, played together, played against a good defense. And although we didn't have as many points as we wanted, we played cleaner, we played harder. We didn't beat ourselves with pre-snap things and drops, things like that. Didn't have a drop until that last drive. And obviously that did hurt us there. We capitalized in the red zone. Negatives, gave up too many plays in the backfield that we can correct. And they were in our backfield 8 times. We were in theirs 9. So you had 2 defenses really getting after it that way. I think just being more efficient, getting more first downs, being efficient on the plays that gain us the 4 yards or more. Defensively, 2 takeaways and a 4th down stop at the end. Constantly pressured their quarterback and played in their backfield a lot. Didn't give up an explosive for score, and Peyton Wilson's touchdown was a expletive, great play. I think Peyton's playing better than anybody in college football at his position, and he's obviously a spark, and he's fine. Excited about the news on him. He was sore after the game, but good news, and he'll be back this week. Defensive negatives, there's just, you get into coverage situations, there's always route concepts and things you can play better, and down the field, intermediate, underneath. And so we'll continue to work on different things with our guys. And we had some guys out of position. Once Peyton went down, we moved some guys around at linebacker, and so they were playing not out of position, but playing where they hadn't practiced some of those schemes, and I think that showed up a little bit. But really impressed just with how hard we played. On special teams, Braden continues to kick the ball well, and Colin Smith 100% on touchbacks. On kickoff, they had 0 return yards, which against Clemson, as we know, isn't easy to do. They always have talented returners. I thought Anthony Smith emerged as a missile on our SWAT team, had a really nice play covering a punt. So, excited about the win and thankful, to get a win like that on homecoming for my 100th meant a lot, just personally, and thank the team and staff for that. I do think in the post game, regarding my comments, I felt, it was very important to stand up for our program and for our team. And I do feel that duty and that responsibility as a head coach. And in the moment, my feelings were very raw and authentic. And I have great respect for Steve Smith. After the game, he texted me and sent me a video congratulating me on the win. And as a man, I thank him for that. It takes a lot of humility to do stuff like that, and I know he was not trying to disrespect our program, even though that's how I felt. And I appreciate him for that. And, invited him to come down and spend time anytime he wants. And hopefully he'll do that, come be on our sideline. He's a great player for the Panthers, great player for Utah, and a great representative of the game. And I think him being on our sideline, feeling the energy of our fan base would be awesome. So hopefully we'll get that done. Furthermore, as I stated in my press conference after the game, NC State has a lot of great sports, and football is one of them. And supporting my program and doing that was my intentions, and that's what I was doing, standing up for a football team. And I know in the aftermath, things sometimes land differently with certain people. And, you know, because of that, I did call Coach Keats, and Kevin's a great friend. I love the guy, and definitely have so much respect and admiration, not just for him, but for his program. And that's what makes NC State different. You know, I've worked at a lot of schools, and our administration, our fans, it's unique, you know, to be at a school where you can go to a football game, a men's basketball, a women's basketball, a baseball game, a wrestling match, etc., and have a sold out crowd, you know, and to be able to cheer on a national champion in cross country and track and field and swimming. So it's impressive, you know, and it's rare to be at a school like that. And so, yeah, it does irk me when people label us as a one sport school, because we're not. We're not. And I think the proof is in what I just said, you know, the ability to be productive in so many sports. And it's a well-rounded athletic department full of competitive winning teams. And since I am the football coach, I'm going to defend my post for football. And that's what that was and will continue to be. You know, I think this week is another great opportunity to play another really good football team in Miami. And they're athletic. They're very talented. They've always been that way. They're playing hard. When you watch them on offense, they're fast, which is you'd expect. They're deep at the running back position. I think their offensive coordinator does a really good job. Their offensive line is big and well coached. And the receivers, as you would expect, are playmakers. You know, their defense is led by their defensive line, and they've got a freshman defensive lineman, 44. Bain is one of the best freshman D linemen I've ever seen. He is really playing well. A guy that you like watching, which he's not on their sideline, but it's going to be a great opportunity to play against another great defensive lineman. The DBs are guys that can run and tackle and cover. And so another great opportunity, great challenge, and looking forward to it. Excited to have them here at night at Carter-Finley. And I know it'll be a great atmosphere. I know our fans will show up and help us, and we need your help. Last week, phenomenal crowd noise when we needed it for our defense at the end of that game. That was big. And so, you know, just calling on you again to come be a part of winning a game, helping us win a game with your noise for our players and against theirs. And that's what this has to be for us to continue to grow as a program. Lastly, just want to thank the media on the call and off the call that have helped cover and support Payton Gibbs and her efforts and her family's efforts. It's been awesome seeing that, and a lot of messages, emails, and letters coming our way, thanking us for that. But that's just the right thing to do. And so I know they're going to continue to battle back where they're at in Florida to get her back on the sideline. But just thank you guys for doing that. You don't have to. I know you get to pick what you write about and cover. And so to be a part of a feel-good story when it's not always that way means a lot to me. So thank you. Questions?
Wait for that first hand. Corey Smith.
Dave, obviously you just gave an update on Payton and his status. What does it mean to have a player like that still healthy and know that you you'll have him for the future moving forward?
Yeah. Oh man, it's so fun watching Payton play, and I'm just thankful for him. First of all, you know, he's the one that's been through it medically and put in the time, the effort, and the hours to play the sport. And it means the world to him, and you can see that in his play. And so we're thankful that he's healthy. Thank the Lord for that, and look forward to seeing him play again and continue to do what he's doing. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone in college football that's having the impact he is in the game. I haven't seen it yet. Not saying I haven't seen a lot of good players this year. I have. That guy is just a wrecking ball out there, and what he's doing in so many ways, his effort and energy and everything else, his leadership. So thankful that he gets to continue the journey with us.
Thank you.
Jaden.
Hey, Dave, you talked about the different areas that you want to see improve this week. Is there like one specific that you're highlighting above any others?
You talking about on offense, defense, special teams, or just collectively?
I would say collectively.
I'd like to just learn from what just happened. I think I told him this in the meeting. Like, we need to play like we lost the game. We need to practice like we just lost the game. And I think just learning from the outcomes of the weeks that we've had, taking the information that we've gained through wins and losses, through adversity and through success, and building on it. And you shouldn't have to suffer to always learn the right way to do something. And to me, that's the biggest area, is just be able to look at, man, I really played well in this game. I played better. I played hard. What happened? I had to go through a humiliating loss and practice a certain way. Well, okay, let's repeat that with a win. And that's the growth. Sometimes it's hard with these young people to get them to strain the way they need to all the time until you get them in a really adverse situation like we were in. And so I think it's just the growth of that, taking success and failure, treating them the same when it comes to your preparation for a game.
Noah?
Kind of going off of that, has that been something you've noticed, I guess, with this team coming off of a win? Because, you had lost to Louisville, came back, had a win against Marshall, and then, lost to Duke, come back for the win. Is that something you kind of noticed, or is it just kind of just be a trend or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, obviously that's what it looks like. I said this before. I did not see the performance coming that we had against Duke based on our practice. We practiced well that week. And so obviously not well enough. But in years past, you could see it. Man, we weren't very clean this week, and I would be really nervous. And that's not what I saw. I saw a team that practiced hard and was actually executing well, and guys had energy, and, they weren't uptight at the hotel. So, I think sometimes it's just harder to read certain guys than others. This team, thing I like about them, man, they're resilient, and I think they've learned a lot. And so, whether it's a trend or not, we got 4 games left. I told them it was a 5-game season. We're 1-0, and we're going to put everything we got into this next one.
Ethan?
Hey, Coach, it seems like Robert Kennedy had a great day in coverage, holding Clemson's leading receiver to, just, I think, one reception against them. Just how would you assess his performance?
Yeah, Rob's done a great job this year. He's been super consistent, works hard every day, goes about his work the right way. He's focused. He's not up and down. He's easy to coach. He's here for a reason. He knows what his role is, and he's done it. And each week there's little things that he's working on, and Coach Freddie Autry-Lindsey does a good job with him narrowing down his focus onto those things. So excited for him. And then another challenge this week. I think one of Miami's best players is their slot receiver, number 7. He's a really good player. So be a great matchup.
James?
Dave, you've talked about it before in the past, but how important is game flow, with this team, and the ability to kind of get out early and allow your defense to really take control of the game?
It helps. It helps a lot, to have a little bit of a cushion. We haven't had a lot of a cushion, but it does help to be playing from ahead versus behind. We're still young. When you look at who's out on the field at times on offense, there's some young dudes out there playing, and MJ's just in his 2nd year still, and KC freshman, Kendrick Raphael, true freshman. So you've got some youthful guys out there when it comes to that. But I think the one thing that we really talked a lot about getting ready for this last game was just that in play mentality of playing together, and then breathe, next play, and let everything else go till we get to the sideline, and just focus on what you can do and not let things compound, because that's where it gets hard. You start having negative talk, and you start thinking negatively because of something that might happen. Like, they got good players at Clemson. They're going to beat you at times, and you just got to compete your butt off and go to the next play and win the next play. And then if you do that more times than they do it, usually the scoreboard is a collection of your wins individually over time. And so that's been our focus. And it worked for us, and I think we'll stay probably in that process, getting ready for another great team with Miami.
Aaron,
Hey Dave, I was looking at some defensive stats. Like you guys are in the middle of the conference in defense, scoring defense and total defense. But if you look a little deeper, it's kind of things like number 2 in sacks, number 3 in third down conversions. Yeah, I guess stats never tell the whole story. What do you think is maybe the top 1 or 2 things you guys as a coaching staff, when you're looking at maybe as how your defense is playing, that you point to and say this is what we need to be really good at?
Well, the most important stat in defense is scoring defense. And so our goal is to get back into the top 3 in our league, top 20 in the country in scoring defense. The next most important goal is the number of takeaways that you force on defense. So, can you keep points off the board and can you get the ball back? Obviously, third down defense is getting the ball back as well. Our fourth down defense is getting the ball back as well. But, those takeaways are big momentum plays. They're usually field position gainers, not always, but usually. And so, we're doing really well on third down defense, doing really well taking the ball away. Our disruption and chaos that we create throughout the game, there's a lot of plays in their backfield with sacks and tackles for loss, like you mentioned. And so now it's just eliminating big plays for touchdowns was a huge emphasis, and that happened last week. You're going to give up some explosive plays. Clemson had, I think, 8 in our game, but none of them were for touchdowns. And so now they had 7. None of them were for touchdowns. And that to me is what it's all about, because, you stop them, hold them to a field goal. They may miss, which you saw them miss one of them. Those are the things that matter, and see if they're good enough against a defense like ours to keep grinding it out. And that's where everything is, though, to me, scoring defense and takeaways.
To follow up on that, total defense, people talk about total yards. Do coaches care much at all about that stat? It doesn't seem like it tells a lot beyond just the yardage number.
I think coaches care about everything. But I agree with you. I don't think that stat equals wins like the other ones do.
Corey,
Dave, kind of a 2-part question here. First of all, is there any, I may have missed it earlier, but is there any update on Trent Penick's status from last week? I know he didn't play in that game, and it seemed like there was a little bit more implementation of Juice Farine in that game. Obviously, he did have the 1 drop, but just your thoughts on getting him in the game and where that tight end position stands right now.
Hopefully we'll have Trent back. I'm not sure yet. They were testing him in the training room a little bit before I came up here, and so I haven't heard from our trainer yet, but hopeful we'll have him. As far as Juice, we're continuing to develop him, try to get him, reps where he can help us, and he's growing, he's improving. Obviously, I know he would have loved to have made that play there on third down. It's a good job by MJ throwing it with the blitz, and he just didn't have his head back for it quick enough. But he's a young player again, out there, and sometimes when you play him, they're going to have some youthful mistakes, and just got to get his learning curve to speed up a little bit. But he's working really hard. He's got a great attitude, and he's grown up a lot this year. He's got a lot of growth still, but from where he was at week 1 to where he is now, is maturing, and just got to keep taking it one day at a time.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Kind of talked about it after the game, but how impressive, going back and looking at the film was Sean Brown kind of stepping in for Peyton Wilson on that last drive. He made 5 tackles on 1 drive at linebacker there.
Yeah, he's a ball player, man. His football IQ's high. His attitude, his effort, his athletic ability, his toughness, it's all exactly what you want. If I could go recruit 10 more of Sean Brown, I would. And at whatever special team he goes on, he makes plays too. He's a playmaker. He's got a really bright future, and he can do a lot. He can play in the back end, as you see, but the closer he gets to the ball, whether he's blitzing or fitting the run, he makes plays. He's got a really long wingspan. He's strong. He's a good tackler, and he's learning how to play faster and faster. Things are really clicking for him with his vision and what he's looking at.
Brian Murphy,
Thanks. Thanks, Dave. To go back to the Smith comments, I appreciate just got a couple of quick ones. Did he commit to coming to a game? And then how did you see the comments? Was that something you had been thinking about kind of all day? And then lastly, it seems like you got state fans pretty fired up. What kind of reactions did you get? I imagine it was overwhelmingly positive.
No, he hasn't committed yet, and I'm hopeful he will. He said when he gets back, he's traveling, that we'll connect and try to work some things out on when we could get him here. I don't know when that'll be, but it was a great conversation. Like I said, for a guy with his accolades, to just come on and congratulate us on the win, say, Coach, didn't mean anything by it. I mean, that means a lot. You know, there's a lot of people's egos that wouldn't allow him to say stuff like that. So I don't know him, and for that to be our first conversation meant a lot to me. As far as when I saw it, it was actually the last thing I saw leaving the locker room. And so I don't know why at the end of the game, I mean, you guys don't understand, most people don't, what it's like to coach a football game and go through 3.5 hours of that. And you are mentally wiped, you know, I mean, it's a blowout, and every possible emotion you have. And, you know, in that moment, I felt like defending my team. I was irked by it. And, I don't know. Sometimes things just happen. I don't know, but that's what happened right there. And again, my intentions were to protect this football team and stand up for it. Nothing more than that. And felt like I did that. I don't know. I'm not on social media very much, so I don't know what the response was. My sons told me it was good, but you know, it's like I tell people all the time, like when you speak, there's going to be a percentage of the country that thinks you're right and a percentage that thinks you're wrong immediately. And that's just where we are right now. And so I know that happens whenever I talk. There's going to be people that think I'm wrong and people think I'm right. And ultimately, you know, you have to do what you think is best and right for the group that you lead. And for me, as the head coach of this football team, I'm going to stand up for 11 years of hard work and all the players that helped me do it and the coaches that helped me do it and the fans that believe in it. And so until they tell me I don't get to do that anymore, that's the kind of coach you're going to have.
Your players fired up? They talked to you about it at all?
Yeah, they liked it. Yeah. I mean, again, it wasn't about calling out Steve in particular. I think we all agree he's a tremendous guy. It was more about just the statement itself. And like I said, man, this university is different. Like if you come around here in the wintertime, and for me, like I try to get to an Olympic sport whenever I can. And I'm always in awe, like when you walk into a wrestling match or you know, you go over to a baseball game, whatever, just how many people are there. I've been in universities where it's just not like that. I mean, it really is a one sport school in some places from a fan base standpoint, not from an effort or an attitude or a skill set with the teams. But some places don't have the, you know, on-site support that you get at NC State. And you know, we're in the Director's Cup with all the different sports, how that adds up. So just, you know, like I said, people can say what they want. It's just, you know, do your homework, know what you're talking about, be critical when that's what you should be. I mean, no problem with people throwing darts at me after the Duke game. I earned it. You know, we didn't do a good job and that falls on me. But when you look at the program and the university overall, you know, people have to understand what we've built as a program. And, you know, it started way before I was here. I mean, the success of this place, football, basketball, track, everything else has been going on a long time.
Ethan.
Coach, Clemson blitzed MJ Morse pretty constantly. Just how do you think he handled that pressure? I mean, obviously he didn't turn the ball over. So just how do you think he handled that blitzing?
Yeah, I mean, it starts there. We're getting a lot of pressure, period. And I think, you know, with going back to Notre Dame, I mean, we've been seeing blitz from everybody, and it's just kind of what it is right now. MJ's doing some really good things at times. There's other times, you know, where things collapse on him pretty quick and got to get rid of the ball faster maybe than he wants. I thought he did a tremendous job on one of the third downs where he kind of moved around, backed up in the pocket, slid over to his left and hit Keon for a first down. I thought that was a really good job by the O-line and the running back as well. But, you know, it's just the timing of all this and continuing the chemistry, you know, with his receivers and just reps. You just keep working all that and know that we're going to keep seeing, you know, the things that we're seeing pressure wise. That's just how it is right now. We do the same thing. We're blitzing people all over the place. And you see it from Miami. They're a big pressure team. There's going to be a lot of that coming.
Thanks.
JC.
In honor of Halloween, we know you are a big George Brett guy.
Yeah.
Was there a Chiefs player growing up that you could have worn a Halloween jersey of one time or thought about? Because I don't think you've ever expressed a Chiefs player like you have the affection to a George Brett.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. So two players that I loved with the Chiefs when I was a kid, and one of them's local, so that'll be good. First, non-local was Derek Thomas, the defensive end, who was just a phenomenal pass rusher. I loved watching DT play. But Dino Hackett, former Appalachian State linebacker, and had the privilege of meeting him actually in the offseason. But he was a middle linebacker for the Chiefs, and I think Bill Cowher might have been coaching there then on defense when Marty Schottenheimer was their head coach. But he had the big neck roll, and shoot, all of us high school players in Kansas City, that everybody wanted to look like him. And he was mean, he was tough, and so yeah, that was one of the guys that at a young age, watching those two guys play, I loved them.
James.
Dave, I just wanted to ask you real quick about Jordan Poole. You were able to get him in some reps on the offensive side. It physically looked like he gave you a couple of good reps.
Yeah, Jordan was a really good high school running back as well. And, he and I have talked throughout the season, just trying to find ways to utilize what he can do to help the team win. And about 2 weeks before the bye week, he brought it up, and I said, let's get to the bye and we'll, sit down and talk some more about it. I don't want to spend time with the staff. And last thing I want to do is move a guy, and it doesn't really help him from a depth standpoint. So during the bye week, he got some reps there. You could immediately see his ability to help, not just as a blocker, which is what you saw this weekend, but he ran the ball well in practice. He caught the ball well out of the backfield. And so now it's just getting him caught up in, all the vernacular with Coach Goebel and Coach and I. But I think it's a good move for him and for us. He's going to bring value there. He adds a dimension to the backfield, and he's really physical. And so it just gives us a running back that can go fill and fit like a linebacker or old school fullback, but a guy that can run. He's really got, if you watch that long run by KC early in the game, you can see him tracking him down the field. He can run.
JB.
Hey, Dave, sorry to get in here late. First and foremost, congratulations on getting your 100th career victory as a head coach. But I wanted to ask you, as far as you kind of showing that side that you showed, off the Steve Smith situation, and just kind of the trust factor that you gained off of having, your programs back like that, for players and fans and, others who haven't seen that side of you or whatever. What kind of trust factor do you think you gained off of that or whatever when you show how much you love this program and how much you have this program's back for the future?
I don't know if I can answer that. You're asking me what other people think, and you probably know better than I do. You're reading their comments. But, there just comes a point in time as a competitor where you're sick of it. And I was sick of it, and so you can either stand there and take it or you can fight. And I've been asking our players to fight and fight and fight, and told them I would, and thought that was an opportunity to show that. And I know that's meaningful, in the locker room. How it is outside the locker room, I really don't know. I'm not going to say I don't care. I do. I want people to respect what we do here, but it wasn't meant for them. It was meant for our team. And like I said, for the 11 years of players that have helped me here and given a lot, there just comes a point in time where if something's said that's not true, it needs to be corrected. And that's it.
Looks like that's it for today. Thanks, Coach. Thanks,
All right.
everyone.